What's going on, guys? Welcome to NAS TV, and today I'm going to be showing you a proposed expansion of MLS, Major League Soccer, here in the United States. I am thinking that United States soccer can grow up to, at least in the top division, to 40 teams, and I think that some people might think that sounds crazy. I don't think that's crazy. I think the league is well on its way to 40 teams. The league just got to 30 teams with the addition of San Diego FC for the 2025 season. And there's already rumors of two teams, at least two new markets on the horizon. So, what I'm going to be doing today is talking to you guys and showing you a map that's going to have all the expansion teams along with the existing teams shown on the map, so you guys can see that. So if you guys like this type of content, please do leave a like and subscribe. But I'm going to be trying to do some more content like this moving forward. As you can see here in this little corner, I also have some mock expansions for the USL Championship, the USL League One, and I'm working on some expansion for USL League 2. That's going to be a doozy. It's going to take me forever to work on, so I'm not even going to worry about that one right now. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhide my Major League Soccer, and you're going to see where I've placed all of the teams, and you'll start to already notice pretty quickly where some expansion teams I have listed out. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to start with the Eastern Conference. Now, the Eastern Conference, for those of you who don't know, is actually the weaker of the two conferences historically, meaning that they've won less championships than the Western Conference has. But it does have some pretty stellar teams, especially for the 2025 season. You have the New York Red Bulls, who are coming off of their MLS Cup appearance pretty recently here, and as you can see, I can actually zoom in to where the stadiums are. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, for those who don't know how to use Google Maps like me, but yeah, you can see right here we have the Red Bulls, we have DC United as well in the Eastern Conference, and I'm actually going to be showing you these teams in the order in which they kind of joined the league. So these first two teams here, they joined the league in 1996 when the league was founded, both DC United and the New York Red Bulls. The New York Red Bulls at the time were actually, I believe, the New York Metro Stars, or the New York New Jersey Metro Stars, and then Red Bulls took them over, and I think around like 2008 when they switched over their name to the New York Red Bulls. But we also have the New England Revolution, famous for losing, what is it, 5 MLS Cups now? I want to say they've lost 5 MLS Cups, which is crazy. You guys always know about the Buffalo Bills in the NFL, but this team, the New England Revolution, are basically the Buffalo Bills of MLS. You got the Columbus Crew here, who are the 4th team that I'm showing you here in the Eastern Conference. They almost got relocated to Austin, but the Save the Crew movement was able to keep the team here. They have new owners, they got a new stadium, they're not going anywhere soon. They've won the MLS Cup recently. They are a historic franchise, and I love them to death. Next, you got the Chicago Fire, MLS's first expansion franchise, and sadly, they have not won anything since their first season. Well, they've won Open Cups. They have not won MLS Cups since their inaugural season. So they moved to Soldier Field not too long ago, hoping to try to increase their attendance. They're still one of the least attended teams in the league. Hoping that this next season can help turn things around for them. Next, we got Toronto FC. I have a weird kind of like love-hatred for Toronto FC, and I'll get to that later. I'll explain my love-hatred for Toronto FC later, but here they are, the biggest team in Canada, I would say. I don't even think it's an argument. They have dominated the Canadian Championships. They won a treble, winning MLS Cup back in, I believe, 2017. So pretty big club right here. Next, you got the Philadelphia Union. And I'm not going to lie to you, I always hate that the Philadelphia Union do not play in Philadelphia. They play in Chester. And actually, you can see here, they're so far away from the downtown of Philadelphia. You have to scroll pretty far. There's the airport, or at least one of the airports. There's Southern Philly, South Philly. There's where the Eagles and the Phillies play, which is, like, they have all this parking lot. I really don't understand. They really don't. Even the Flyers, and the 76ers, they all play here. Why can't you just get rid of some of this parking right here, slap a 20,000 seater stadium, and you'll be all good? I don't know. I digress. Let's move on to the next team. Another team from Canada. You got the CF Montreal, formerly known as the Montreal Impact. They are the second team here. They were actually the third team introduced from Canada, but the second one in the East. They haven't won MLS Cup before. I don't think they're going to win it this year either. But they did have Thierry Henry as their head coach at one point, so that's pretty cool. Next, you got New York City FC, which is the second team in New York and the team that's owned by Manchester City, or at least the Manchester City ownership group, the City Football Group. The stadium that I've marked here is not complete yet, but this will be their new stadium, I believe, called Etihad Park. Once it's complete, this is where the New York City FC Football Club will be playing, right next to Citi Field with the New York Mets. And if you are a New York City fan, comment down below how you feel about that, because I've always been curious, because y'all have been playing up in in the Bronx with in the Yankee Stadium, and now you're moving over next to the Met Stadium. Is there kind of like some broken allegiances that's going on around there, or are you still going to support the team regardless, or do you never support the team to start with? Just let me know in the comment section below. Next, we got the Orlando City SC, who were founded, or at least joined the league in 2015 along with New York City FC. I have been close to this stadium. I actually haven't been to the stadium. It's on my bucket list of stadiums to go to. And they're getting actually pretty good. They weren't that good when they first came in to the league. They were really good back in the USL days. But when they first came into the MLS, they weren't really that good. But in the last couple of years, they've really shown themselves to be a pretty formidable opponent. So keep an eye out on them in the seasons to come. Next, you got Atlanta United FC, one of my favorite clubs. They look really good going into 2025. So I think they might actually be one of the favorites to win MLS Cup, outside of obviously Miami, and LAFC, LA Galaxy, and Columbus, and those whatnot. I think LA have a really good shot. They added a lot of good attacking pieces to their front line with Almiron coming back, and they also, I would butcher his name, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but they got this new forward up from Middlesbrough. So really good stuff coming out of Atlanta United. And I love their stadium as well. I've been to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, beautiful arena. So hoping for great things to be coming out of Atlanta for this season, 2025. Next, you got Cincinnati. And they are another team that they used to be really terrible, and now they're one of the best teams in the league. They recently won the Supporters' Shield not too long ago. They are a very close rival of the Columbus Crew. And actually, if I zoom out, you can probably see just how close Cincinnati and Columbus are to each other relative to other teams in the league. Well, you got some two extra teams that I'm kind of spoiling for you down the line, but you got Columbus up here, got Cincinnati right here. They're the two teams who are currently in the league. Those two battles are going to be pretty important matchups to watch throughout every single season. Next, you got Inter Miami, which is David Beckham's team, Lionel Messi's team, Luis Suarez's team, Sergio Busquets' team. This is where they're going to be playing at. once it's done. Miami Freedom Park, I believe. They're currently playing at Chase Park, I believe that's what it's called, up in Fort Lauderdale, but this is where their final destination is going to be. I believe they're wrapping up, trying to build up that stadium, and the stadium will be opening in the next year or so. Hopefully. We'll see. Don't quote me on that. Next, you got Nashville SC, which is a close rival of Atlanta. They are another club they're relatively good. They've bounced kind of between the East and the West conferences a few times, but I think their home belongs in the Eastern Conference. I've actually been to this stadium as one of the stadiums I have been to, so kudos to them. They have a really nice stadium. It's kind of far out from downtown. It's kind of like in the middle of the suburbs, which I think is an odd choice, but it is a nice stadium nonetheless. Now, moving on, we have Charlotte FC. Now, Charlotte FC is another Southern team that was added within the last couple of years. As you can see, they were added in 2022. They play out of Bank of America Stadium, the same stadium as the Carolina Panthers. I don't really foresee much coming out from them this season. They are more than welcome to prove me wrong. Now, I have finally gone through all of the teams in the Eastern Conference that are currently already in the league. The next 5 teams are the teams that I believe should be expanded into MLS. The first one is Indy 11. Now, the Indianapolis already have a lot of talks around about building a brand new stadium. This location's actually the location that's been talked about for them to build a brand new stadium that would be perfect for MLS. And I think that they are one of the front runners. I believe that they are the front runner when it comes to Eastern Conference's teams. So I have them slated for joining MLS in 2028. Adding them would be a great option because not only do they have a good fan base, they are another really good sized Midwestern team, and as you can see, it would put them very closely to Cincinnati and Columbus, as well as Chicago Fire. So a really good rivalry between all of those clubs would brew pretty quickly. And how could I leave out Louisville? If I'm taking Indy, I feel like you have to take Louis. They're one of the best. They probably are. No, they are the best franchise in USL. So it only makes sense that MLS would want to welcome them into their family. The only thing stopping them is a new stadium, or at least stadium upgrades to their current existing Lynn Family Stadium. I believe it's too small for MLS, but it is an expandable stadium. So if they just get the money, get those investors, we will definitely be able to see Louisville joining MLS. I have them slated for joining MLS in 2030. Now moving on to the next team that I have here, I have MLS going ahead and adding another team to Florida, and this team has roots in U.S. soccer history, and that is the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I believe Al Lang Stadium is also another stadium that is promised to get upgrades to it to make it more suitable for soccer and a soccer experience for match days. So once that is completed, I can see Tampa Bay jumping up in the radar of MLS and becoming become an MLS franchise down the road. So I have them slated joining the league in 2032. Now this one is going to be a real, controversial pick. I believe in the 2030s, it will be about time for MLS to expand again into Canada. So for the East, I have MLS expanding into Ottawa. Now, I know that Canada has the Canadian Premier League, and the Canadian Premier League is trying to grow. However, I don't think that should stop MLS from expanding into Canada. I think the leagues aren't competing with each other and never will compete with each other. The Canadian Premier League competes more with USL 1 or even the Championship on some levels. So I'm not really concerned about MLS expanding into Canada. The fan base would be there. The support would be there. You just need the stadium infrastructure to be there. So right now I have Ottawa FC playing out of the Stampeders ground, which would not be the actual case. I just have that for reference reasons, they would need to build a new stadium by 2036 somewhere in Ottawa so that they could have their new team. And then last but not least, the 20th team that I would have in the Eastern Conference is Detroit City FC. Yes, they would need to build a brand new stadium. They would not be able to play out of the stadium they currently have. And no, I don't believe that they would play out of Ford Field, but that is where I've placed them just for the sake of the video. Once they have the financial backing for a brand new stadium in that stadium location and they start building, I think Detroit will be a really good option for MLS to round out their 20-team Eastern Conference. Now that I've covered the Eastern Conference, let me move on to the Western Conference. So starting off, I'm going to just quickly go through the teams that are already in the league. One, you got the LA Galaxy, who are the most recent MLS Cup champions. Congratulations to them for winning their 6th MLS Cup. They've been in the league since it founded, and they are more than happy that they have won the league instead of their new neighbors, LAFC. Next, you have FC Dallas, which they are another team, which I think in a separate video I'm going to talk about just MLS stadiums in general, but I really hate that they're in Frisco, or I think it's Frisco, isn't it Frisco? Wherever they're at. I hate that they're not in Dallas proper. They are so far away from the downtown area. I know that Dallas is a very sprawled out metropolitan area, but hey, at least put them like in Arlington or like Fort Worth. Don't put them all the way up here in Frisco. I don't think it really makes much sense. I always believe that they should build a brand new stadium somewhere down here, either in Dallas or somewhere maybe in Arlington. So hopefully they do that within the next 10 years. Another team that I believe should be building a brand new stadium, but I really doubt they're going to, is the Colorado Rapids. They're kind of one of those teams that are kind of just always there in the league. They're never really good. They haven't really been like really bad in a while, but they just haven't really done anything in a long time. So maybe some more financial backing from their owners would really help them out. Next, you got Sporting Kansas City, the only professional franchise that is currently based in Kansas, because they are on the Kansas side of Kansas City. But they are one of MLS's premier franchises. They've won the league twice. And I can definitely see them winning the league again in the near future. But they might have to move away from their longtime manager if they haven't already. Don't quote me if they have. I believe they probably have not moved away from Peter Vermees. But if they have, changes are coming. Next, you got the San Jose Earthquakes, which I believe is a very underutilized and underappreciated franchise in MLS. They haven't been that great recently. They play out of a small stadium, but they are very historic as a franchise. 2 MLS Cups, 2 Supporter Shields. They won California's original teams. So very, very important team. I don't think they're going to be doing anything this year, but I would love to see them doing some damage in the near future. Moving on, you got Real Salt Lake, the only team out of Utah. And they are one of the teams that was the initial kickstart to MLS expansion 2.0. Because MLS expanded a couple times, then they contracted. Real Salt Lake came into a league with Chivas USA to kind of restart expansion. So they kind of were like the MLS 2.0 phase. So another good franchise. I think they also are pretty similar in stature to Colorado Rapids. But have had some kind of flirtations with being good recently, but I don't really see them winning the league. Next, you got Houston Dynamo. The Houston Dynamo story is always fun to tell. Basically stripping San Jose of their team for a couple of years, and then winning the championship twice with that team. It's kind of mean, but they're another team here in the Western Conference. They joined back in 2006. Next, you got my hometown team, the Seattle Sounders, who are one of the flagship teams in MLS. They've won 2 MLS Cups, a Supporter Shield, 4 Open Cups. They've also won the CONCACAF Champions League. They are one of the only clubs to do so. other than LA Galaxy and DC United before it was the Champions League, or now it's called the Champions Cup. Back then it was the Champions Cup, so who knows? Is it all the same thing at this point? But they are one of the biggest franchises in MLS. Definitely always going to be contenders every single season. Let's see if they're going to win it this year. Next, you got their hated rivals, Portland. Being a Sounders fan, I really don't care for Portland, but they are one of MLS's biggest franchises as well. Their stadium is iconic. Their fan base is iconic. They've won MLS Cup. Definitely see them doing some damage in the league. Maybe not this year, but they could do it this year. Who knows? I believe their manager is Phil Neville, so good on them. Vancouver Whitecaps are next. The third team that was added, or the third team that I've talked about from Canada other than Ottawa. That's a new team. So right now there's only 3 teams in Canada. Vancouver is the only team in the West currently. They are also the third team in Cascadia. Now, I believe their ownership group is recently just said that they're selling the team. Hopefully the ownership group that buys the team makes sure to keep the team rooted in Vancouver, because I would fight tooth and nail to make sure that Cascadia keeps all 3 of its teams. So, next you got Minnesota United, Kings in the North, or the old Kings in the North. They're situated over here. I believe, are they in St. Paul instead of Minneapolis? I believe they're like in St. Paul instead of Minneapolis. I believe that's the case. Yeah, it looks, or at least they're like right smack dab in the middle. I guess that explains why they're called United. So, and then you got LAFC, which is MLS's darling. They've won MLS Cup recently, within the last couple of years. They're also always in contention for titles, so keep an eye out on them. They're definitely going to be one of the favorites to win MLS Cup this year. And next you got Austin FC, who is the third team in Texas. They're also the newest franchise in Texas. They had a really hot start when they came into the league, but they've kind of tilted. They kind of, what's the word for it? They've kind of faded in the last couple of years. They're not really as good as they were when they first came in, so I'm not sure that they're going to do much this year either, but they are another team that's in the league. And then you got St. Louis City FC, another team that came into the league really hot and then kind of fell away. I've actually been to their stadium as well. It's a nice stadium. It's kind of like set into the ground, which I thought was pretty cool. Then you have the newest member of MLS as of 2025, which is San Diego FC. They're playing out of Snapdragon Stadium, which originally it used to be Qualcomm Stadium. That was demolished. They built Snapdragon right on top of the same site, and now they host San Diego. They also host the Aztecs, and they host the San Diego Wave from the NWSL. So now I've covered all the teams who are currently in the Western Conference. Now let me cover those 5 final teams that I would like to add to the Western Conference to round out my 40-team MLS. So first is Las Vegas FC. I think that they're going to be the front runners to be added into MLS. I don't think they're going to be playing at Allegiant. They're probably going to build a brand new stadium. I don't think it's going to be a Las Vegas Lights. I think it's going to be a brand new expansion team, so that's why I've just named them Las Vegas FC. So they're definitely going to be a team, probably the favorite to come in from the West out of the 5 that I've chosen. So I've had them slated coming into the West in 2028. Next, you have Phoenix Rising FC. The problem with Phoenix Rising FC, and again, I have them pegged playing out of State Farm Arena. Don't think they're actually going to play out of State Farm Arena, but they're not going to play out of their existing stadium either unless it's significantly upgraded. So they're going to need a new stadium sometime before 2030 if they're going to want to be in MLS. Next, you got Sacramento Republic. Now, they were supposed to have already joined MLS. I think they were supposed to have joined MLS back as like MLS's 22nd or 24th team. But series of delays, COVID, and so many things have kind of prevented them from being able to join MLS. I think that they have a realistic shot at joining MLS sometime in 2030s, sometime like 2032. I know the owner of the Sacramento Kings, he has a lot of money to throw around, so maybe he will try to get an MLS team going in Sacramento. I think that'd be great. If Sacramento's not able to get a team, then I could maybe see the Oakland Roots getting a team. I know that they're working on a stadium adjacent or somewhere near the Oakland Coliseum, and they currently are playing in Oakland Coliseum, so they're another shout. But I think they are a community-owned team, might not have all the funding necessary to get that over the line. And the next two teams are two Canadian teams. I guess the last two teams that I want to add are two Canadian teams. They are Calvary FC from the CPL. They are a really good team. They actually just won the CPL recently. I don't believe this is where they're currently playing at, but again, they would have to build a brand new stadium if they want to compete in MLS come 2034. And then last but not least, I think Edmonton is due a professional soccer team. They lost theirs. They need to have another one, so I think FC Edmonton needs to make a comeback in 2034. And there you have it. Honestly, that was a lot. I didn't realize that was going to be so much. But that is all 40 teams here that I believe should be in MLS come 2036. Let me know in the comments if you agree, you disagree, what teams or cities I left out, what teams I should include, whether or not you think 40 teams is too much, too little, if you think MLS should do promotion, relegation, just let me know in the comments. I am all ears. All ears. And yes, I know I have a slur. Don't worry about it. I'm aware of it. But without further ado, if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz, and I'll be releasing more content similar to this in the weeks to come. So take care, guys.